Mars, he walked into the foyer and walked up to Matt and shook his hand and told him what a good job he did. And
wow.
had his Olympic medal around his chest. And I thought, well, he really didn't have to do that, you know.
Yeah.
That was something that I'll never forget, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
So there's been lots and lots of proud moments, you know. But
Yeah, of course.
something that I'll never forget, you know.
Yeah, that one stands out.
Absolutely, yeah.
So you spoke earlier about two really important horses that have kind of shaped your riding career. What would be the third?
The third horse? I haven't had a lot of good horses.
Yeah.
You know.
Even one that just like is...
Well, I suppose
yeah.
my first real horse that I had, a horse called Copper Glow, which is when I was in Dubbo.
Yeah.
He was my horse that I started my competitive career, and he's the one that, you know, took me to you know, some success as an eventing rider. He was just a special sort of horse that was an honest horse, and so I would think, you know, I've had some nice horses in between, but him really being my first, and both he and I, you know, when I did my first one-day event at Hawkesbury, I'd never been in a dressage ring, you know.
Yeah.
And so basically, I did my dressage on the trotting track because that was the only place that had two fences parallel to each other, you know. So as I say, I really knew nothing, and he really knew nothing. We were just fit and young and ignorant and bold. And,
yeah.
You know, so he was special that way, yeah.
Yeah. So you did Pony Club when you were younger, and like your boys went through Pony Club. Do you think that Pony Club's still an important part of developing young riders?
I could say lots of things and get into trouble here. I think the emphasis has changed a little bit in Pony Club.
Yep.
I know when I was younger and when you know, Matt was in Pony Club, and there were a lot more Pony Club riders that, you know, for instance, there were riders jumping A and B graded shows, open classes, you know,
yeah.
and high level eventing, and you don't seem to see that as much. I think Pony Club still has its place, and it's a great place for kids to get started, the networking and the socialisation, but I'm not sure. I better be careful here. I might sort of alienate myself from the Pony Club.
We don't have to include this question.
No. I just think Pony Club is sort of losing a little bit of direction these days in that, you know, they're getting, you know, when I was young at Pony Club, it was, I think, 18, and when you were 18, you became an associate member. Now I think they go up to 24 or 5, you know.
Yeah.
It doesn't, as good as it is and as strong as it is, it doesn't seem to be as competitive as what it used to be.
Yeah.
And that can just be for all sorts of reasons, and it might change. But I think it is important, and it is a good basis for, you know, for entry level of people getting into the sport. But also equally these days, with equestrian, you know, like PA, there's a lot more entry level, you know, for your eventing and the show jumping. Like the Victorian Young Riders Squad, we have in the show jumping, we have 8 and 9-year-old kids coming to that, and we have around about 100 kids go to that squad, you know. And we're finding a lot of those kids that do go to Pony Club tend to gravitate to the squad because they're getting what they're wanting, you know.
Yeah.
I think they try and, in a little bit, keep Pony Club very much more a level playing field.
Yeah. Whereas you want to develop competitors.
One of the reasons why Matt left Pony Club, because he was, you know, you don't print this, but he was sort of going on 12, competing at shows, and the Pony Club wanted him to compete only at 60 centimetres, you know.
Yeah.
So he just sort of thought, well, you know, I'm out winning in juniors and young rider classes at shows, and they won't let me jump, you know.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
It can be, depending on the club. There's lots of really good clubs. It depends on who's running it, you know.
Yeah, definitely. So do you have any hobbies outside of horses? Yeah.
Good question. Well, I'm pretty busy. Like as I say, everything is. My whole life has revolved around horses.
Yeah.
And so effectively, I don't play golf, I don't play tennis. I just do what I do,
Yeah, and if you love it, then it
And
just becomes part of your life.
Excuse me, it's something I enjoy, so I don't feel like I need to have something else.
Yeah. So this is kind of a big question, but where do you see the future of show jumping in Australia?
Oh, excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat.
Yeah.
Well, hang on, I'll just have a drink of water.
Yeah, you're right.
Excuse me. It's definitely improving in Australia in that we've got an awful lot of purpose-bred horses getting involved.
Yeah.
People are breeding and importing horses. So the future of our sport is, well, I don't think it's negative. I think we're definitely getting, most shows these days are getting difficult to get in because of the numbers.
Yeah.
So it's still very popular, and not much has changed in that you still got to do what you got to do. You got to jump your courses, but there's definitely